Picture this: Italy, the 1960s, the golden era of Italian automotive soul. In the city of Bologna lives a guy named Ferruccio Lamborghini. He's loaded, but he didn't get rich off crypto or oil. He got rich off farmers. Ferruccio owned the largest tractor and agricultural equipment company in Italy. His tractors were built like tanks, reliable as a brick, and Italian farmers worshipped them. Ferruccio was the undisputed king of the fields. Like any wealthy Italian, Ferruccio had a taste for exotic cars. He was so successful that he had a shiny, brand-new Ferrari sitting in his garage. But there was one problem. The clutch on his luxury Ferrari kept burning out. Every time he'd punch it at a red light, he'd end up back at the service center a week later. It drove Ferruccio nuts. He was shelling out a fortune for repairs. Back then, nobody had figured out how to make a high-performance clutch actually last. Being an expert mechanic himself, he used to wrench on his own tractors. Ferruccio finally snapped. He rolled his expensive Ferrari into his shop, tore it down to the last bolt, and froze in shock. It turned out that his high-end Ferrari used the exact same clutch as his Lamborghini tractors. Ferruccio was livid. He took it as a personal insult. He hopped in his car and drove straight to the Ferrari factory to confront the man himself, Enzo Ferrari. Now, Enzo was an aristocrat and notoriously proud. He didn't take notes from anyone. Ferruccio walked into his office and said, "Look, Enzo, I'm a customer. I love your cars, but your clutch is trash. It burns out every 3,000 miles. Let me help you redesign it. Mine work better on my tractors." Enzo Ferrari, who was much older and saw himself as the god of the industry, looked at him and basically said, "You're just a farmer, Lamborghini. Go back to driving your tractors and plowing fields. Don't tell us how to build real cars. We're making art here." That was Enzo Ferrari's fatal mistake. He had just insulted a mechanical genius. A fuming Ferruccio went back to his garage, slammed the door, and swore he'd build a car that would crush Ferrari. A car with a clutch that actually worked, and a car that was even faster. Just a few years later, in 1963, the world met the first Lamborghini supercar, the 350 GT. It had a massive V12 and a reliable clutch engineered by Lamborghini's team. If Enzo Ferrari had just been polite to his customer, we might never have seen the legendary Countach, Diablo, Aventador, or Huracan. Spite, it turns out, is the greatest engine of progress in the car world. Now, let's talk about Japanese philosophy. If you think Toyota always made indestructible Land Cruisers and reliable Camrys, you're off by a few decades. This company has some skeletons in the closet too, though their skeleton is made of fabric. The Toyota family, yes, originally with a D, owned the largest automatic loom factory in Japan. In the early 20th century, Japan was a textile giant, and Toyota made the best machines in the game. They were incredibly innovative. They had a system that would automatically stop the loom if a single thread snapped. It was a revolution that saved farmers and workers massive amounts of time and money. They called this principle jidoka, automation with a human touch. It was a philosophy of pure discipline. The founder's son, Kiichiro Toyota, decided in the 1930s, "Look, fabric is great, but it's boring. Japan needs cars. The world is moving to wheels, not threads." People thought he was crazy. At the time, the Japanese had zero experience building cars. His father, Sakichi Toyota, backed him anyway. He sold his loom patents to a British company for a massive payout and handed the cash to Kiichiro, saying, "Go build us a Japanese car." Kiichiro started by buying American Chevrolets and Fords, taking them apart in his garage to see how they ticked. He literally copied them. The first cars were called Toyota, but the logo was complicated. The company held a public contest to find a new name. Do you know why they chose Toyota with a T? First, it was easier to say. But second, and this is a deep Japanese cultural thing, it takes exactly 8 brush strokes to write Toyota in Japanese katakana. And the number 8 represents luck, happiness, and prosperity. The wildest part? That stop if you see a mistake rule they invented for looms 100 years ago is still the backbone of the Toyota production system, TPS. In any Toyota factory today, any worker can pull the andon cord and stop the entire assembly line if they spot a defect. Their cars are reliable today because they grew out of the habit of making perfect thread. What do these stories tell us? No one is born a giant. There's no billion-dollar recipe waiting in a drawer. Mega corporations don't just appear out of thin air with perfect products. The history of business is a history of constant failures, wild experiments, and massive pivots. If your startup selling roasted sunflower seeds or handmade socks isn't moving today, if your competitors are laughing at you, don't sweat it. You might just be the future king of aviation or the founder of a gaming empire. Look at Nintendo. They tried selling instant rice, ran a taxi service, dabbled in Yakuza-linked gambling, and even love hotels before they found Mario. Look at Nokia. They went from making toilet paper to building a mobile empire. Look at Lamborghini, a supercar empire born from a farmer's bruised ego. The key is not being afraid to admit your current idea might not be the one. Don't be afraid to pull a 180 if you feel the spark somewhere else. Corporate history proves that you have to be able to change your shoes mid-run if you want to survive and win big. So, which story shocked you the most? Did you know about Nokia's toilet paper or Nintendo's hotels? Drop a comment and tell me which brand deserves its own deep dive next. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the story of how a DVD rental company took down the entire movie theater industry. Catch you later.